Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, classmates. We are from Group 6 and my report is about American rule. Filipinos initially saw the relationship with the United States as that of two nations joined in a common struggle against Spain. However, the United States later distanced itself from the interests of Filipino insurgents. Emilio Aguinaldo was unhappy that the United States would not commit to paper a statement of support for Philippine independence. Hindi naging masaya si Emilio Aguinaldo dahil hindi kinilala ng Estados Unidos maging ang Espanya ang proklamasyon ng Araw ng Kalayaan ng mga Pilipino. Para sa mga Amerikano, isa lamang itong indikasyon na pagpapatuloy ng colonization, pero this time sa pamamahala na ng Amerika. Sa katagalan, ang dating kakampi ng Pilipinas na Amerika ay unti-unting naging kaaway na nito mula sa pagkatalo ng Espanya sa Amerika. Tuluyan ng isinoko ng Espanya ang Pilipinas sa pamamagitan ng Sunduang Treaty of Paris. Ipinagbili ng Espanya ang Pilipinas sa halagang $20 million. Sa tuluyan ng napasakamay ng Amerika ang bansang Pilipinas, nagkaroon ng bagong dispute o panibagong war sa pamamagitan ng dalawang bansa at ito ay ang Philippine-American War. Hostilities broke out on February 4, 1899 after American privates on patrol killed 3 Filipino soldiers in San Juan, a Manila suburb. This incident sparked the Philippine-American War, which would cost far more money and take far more lives than the Spanish-American War. Dahil sa insidenteng iyon, nag-request ng isang paglilitis para malaman kung sino talaga ang nagpasimula ng gulo, kung ito ba ay sa kampo ng mga Amerikano o mga Filipino soldiers. Dahil doon, ipinag-utos ni General Arthur MacArthur na lumusob ang mga Amerikano sa mga Pilipino kahit wala pang formal na pagsisiyasat, at ito ay lubos na ikinagalit ni Emilio Aguinaldo. Some 126,000 American soldiers would be committed to conflict. 4,234 Americans died, as did 12,000 to 20,000 Philippine Republican Army soldiers who were part of the nationwide guerrilla movement of determinate numbers. The general population caught between Americans and rebels suffered significantly. At least 200,000 Filipino civilians lost their lives as an indirect result of war, mostly as a result of cholera epidemic at the war end. At took between 150,000 and 200,000 lives. Atrocities were committed by the both sides. Poorly equipped Filipino troops were easily overpowered by the American troops in open combat, but they were formidable opponents in guerrilla warfare. Malolos, the revolutionary capital, was captured on March 31 in 1899. Aguinaldo and his government escaped, however, established a new capital of San Isidro, Nueva Ecija on June 5. Aguinaldo's guards, in apparent assassination while visiting Cabanatuan, Nueva Ecija to meet with Aguinaldo. Aguinaldo was captured of Palanan, Isabela on March 23, 1901 and was brought to Manila. Convinced of the futility of further resistance, he swore allegiance to the United States and issued a proclamation calling on his compatriots to lay down their arms, officially bringing an end to the war.
The Tagalog, Negros, and Zamboanga Cantonal Republic. During the First Republic, 3 other insurgent republics was briefly formed: the Tagalog Republic in Luzon under Macario Sakay, the Negros Republic in the Visayas under Anacito Lacson, and the Republic of Zamboanga in Mindanao under Mariano Arqueza. Despite resistance from these 3 republics ignored by the Aguinaldo, whose who included them in his gift to the U.S. All three were eventually dissolved, and the Philippines was ruled as a singular insular territory. The Tagalog Republic, under Macario is a term used to refer to two revolutionary governments involved in the Philippine Revolution against the Spanish Empire and the Philippine-American War. Both were connected to the Katipunan Revolutionary Movement, Negros Republic. On November 7, 1898, the Liberators of Negros as a symbol in Bacolod to promulgate a constitution and establish the República Cantonal de Negros following the unconditional surrender of the town on November 6, 1898 by the Spanish authorities to the Negrenses. Republic of Zamboanga was a short-lived revolutionary government founded by the General Vicente Alvarez with his Zamboangueño revolutionary forces after the Spanish government in Zamboanga, Philippines. Philippines officially surrendered and turned over real Fuerza de Nuestra Señora la Virgen del Pilar de Zaragoza to General Vicente Alvarez in May 1990. On May 28, 1899, General Vicente Alvarez proclaimed independence and became the first and last genuinely elected president of the Republic. Insular Government. The Philippine Organic Act was the basic law for the insular government, so-called because civil administration was under the authority of the U.S. Bureau of Insular Affairs. The government saw its mission as one of the tutelage preparing the Philippines for the eventual independence. On July 4, 1902, the office of military governor was abolished and full executive power passed from Admiral Shafe, the last military governor, to Taft, who became the first U.S. Governor General to the Philippines. United States policy towards the Philippines shifted with the changing administration during the early years of territorial administration. The American were reluctant to delegate authority to the Filipinos, but an elected Philippine Assembly was inaugurated in 1907 as the lower house of the bicameral legislatory, with the appointed Philippine Commission becoming the upper house. Philippines was a major target of the Progress Reform. A 1907 report to the Secretary of War Taft provide a summary of what American civil administration had achieved. It included, in addition to the rapid building of a public school system based on English teaching, and boasted about such modernizing achievement. Steel and concrete works at the newly renovated part of Manila, drainage the River Pasig, streamlining of the insular government, accurate, intelligible accounting, and the construction of telegraph and cable communication network, the establishment of a postal saving bank, large-scale road and bridge building, impartial and incorporate policing, well-financed civil engineering, the conservation of old Spanish architecture, large public parks, a bidding process for the right and building railways, corporation law, and a coastal.
In 1903, the American reformer in the Philippines passed two major land acts designed to turn landless peasants into owners of their farms. By 1905, the law was clearly a failure. Reformers such as Taft believed land ownership would turn unruly agrarians into loyal subjects. The social structure in rural Philippines was highly traditional and high unique one. Drastic changes in land ownership posed a major challenges to local elites, who would not accept it, not will their peasant clients. The American reformers blamed peasant resistance to land ownership for the law's failure and argued that large plantation and sharecropping was the Philippines' best path to development. Elite Filipino women played a major role in the four reform movements, especially on the health issues. They specialized on such urgent needs as infant care and maternal and child health, the distribution of pure milk, and teaching new mothers about children's health. The most prominent organization were the La Protección de la Infancia and the National Federation of Women's Clubs. When Democrats Woodrow Wilson becomes U.S. President in 1930, new policies were launched designed to gradually lead the Philippine independence. In 1902, USA law established Filipino citizenship in the Philippines island. Unlike Hawaii in 1893 and Puerto Rico in 1918. They did not become citizens of the United States. The Jones Law of 1916 became the new basic law. Promised eventual independence, it provided for the election of both houses of the legislature. In socio-economic terms, the Philippines made solid progress in the period. Foreign trade had amounted to 62 million pesos in 1895, 30% of which was with the United States. By 1920, it had increased to 601 million pesos, 66% of which was with the United States. A healthcare system was established which by 1930 reduced the mortality rate from all cases, including various tropical diseases, to a level similar to that of the United States itself. The practices of slavery, piracy, and head hunting were suppressed but not entirely extinguished. A new educational system which established with English as the medium of instruction eventually became a lingua franca of the islands. The 1920s saw alternating period of cooperation and confrontation with American governors general, depending on how intent the incumbent was on exercising his power vis-a-vis the Philippines legislature. Measures to the elected legislature lobbied for immediate and complete independence from the United States. Several independence missions were sent to Washington, D.C. Civil service was formed and was gradually taken over the Philippines, who had effectively again controlled by 1980. Philippine politics during the American territorial era was dominated by the Nationalist Party, which was founded in 1907. Although the party's platform called for immediate independence, their policy towards the Americans was highly accommodating. Within the political establishment, the call for independence was spearheaded by Manuel L. Quezon, who served continuously as Senate President from 1916 until 1935. World War I gave the Philippines the opportunity to pledge assistance to the U.S. war effort. This took the form of an offer to supply a division of troops, as well as providing funding for the construction of 2 warships. A locally recruited National Guard was created and significant numbers of Filipinos volunteered for service in the U.S. Navy and Army. Frank Murphy was the last Governor General of the Philippines, 1933 to 35, and the first U.S. High Commissioner of the Philippines from 1935 to 36. The chance in form was more than symbolic. It was intended as a manifestation of the transition to independence.
Commonwealth. A constitutional convention was convened in Manila on July 30, 1934. On February 8, 1935, the 1935 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines was approved by the convention by a vote of 177 to 1 point. The Constitution was approved by President Franklin D. Roosevelt on March 23, 1935, and ratified by popular vote on May 14, 1935. On September 17, 1935, presidential elections were held. Candidates include former President Emilio Aguinaldo, the Iglesia Filipina Independent leader Gregorio Aglipay, and others. Manuel L. Quezon and Sergius Omena of the Nacionalista Party were proclaimed the winners, winning the seat of President and Vice President respectively. The Commonwealth government was inaugurated on morning of November 15, 1935 in ceremonies held on step of the Legislative Building in Manila. The event was attended by a crowd of around 3,000 people under the Tidings Magnifique Act that means that the date of full independence for the Philippines was set for July 4, 1946. Attainable which was followed after the passage of almost 11 very eventful years. Ang Commonwealth is part sa Third Republic of the Philippines while under patas sa pamamahala sa mga Americans kag ang Commonwealth is nag-start siya sa year 1935 na under patas sa Americans pero may sarili na nga president na si Manuel Quezon. Ang president is may 4-year term and ang Commonwealth first president ay si Manuel Quezon. Constitution is daw common ideas na siya or paraan para maghimo sang law or batas kag isa sa mga nakasulat sa Commonwealth ay sa mga consider ka lang nga Filipino if may dugo kang Filipino ka.
World War II and Japanese occupation. Japan launched a surprise attack on the Clark Air Base in Pampanga on the morning of December 8, 1941, just 10 hours after the attack on Pearl Harbor aerial bombardment. Was followed by landing of the group troops on Luzon. The defending Philippines and United States troops were under the command of General Douglas MacArthur. Under the pressure of superior number, the defending force withdrew to the Bataan Peninsula and to the island of Corregidor at the entrance to Manila Bay. On January 2, 1942, General MacArthur declared the capital city, Manila, an open city to prevent its destruction. The Philippines defense continued until the final surrender of the Philippine state of of the United States Philippines force on the Bataan Peninsula in April 1942. And on Corregidor in May of the same year, most of the 80,000 prisoners of war captured by the Japanese at Bataan were forced to undertake the infamous Bataan Death March to a prison camp 105 kilometers to the north. About 10,000 Filipinos and 1,200 Americans died before reaching their destination. President Quezon and Osmeña had accompanied the troops to Corregidor and later left for the United States, where they set up a government in exile. The Japanese military authorities immediately began organize new government structure in the Philippines and established a Philippine Executive Commission, the initially organized Council of State, through which they directed civil affairs until October 1943. When they declared the Philippines an independent republic, the Philippines sponsored public hearing by President Jose P. Laurel proved to be unpopular to pro-colonial Filipinos, but every Filipino and pro-artistic independence Filipino. Japanese occupation of the Philippines was opposed by large-scale undergo guerrilla activity. The American allied Philippine Army as well as remnant of U.S. Army Force Far East continued to fight the Japanese and pro-Japanese military force and guerrilla war and was considered an United States Army. Their effectiveness was such that at the end of war, Japan controlled only 12 of the 48 provinces. The one element of resistance of the Central Luzon areas was formed by the Hokbalahap, which armed some 330 people and extended their control much over the Luzon.
Morning, sir. This is my report. My report is all about World War II and Japanese occupation. The occupation of the Philippines by Japan ended at the war's conclusion. At the eve of liberation of the Philippines, the Allied forces in the Japanese Empire waged the largest naval battle in history. By gross tonnage in the Battle of Leyte Gulf, the American Army had been fighting the Philippines campaign since October 1944. When MacArthur's 6th United States Army landed on Leyte, landings in other parts of the country had followed, and the Allies, with the Philippine Commonwealth troops, pushed toward Manila. However, fighting continued until Japan's formal surrender in September 2, 1945. Approximately 10,000 U.S. soldiers were missing in action in the Philippines when the war ended. More than in any other country in the Pacific or European theaters, the Philippines suffered great loss of life and tremendous physical destruction. Especially during the Battle of Manila, an estimated 1 million Filipinos had been killed, a large portion during the final months of the war, and Manila had been extensively damaged, mainly due to excessive use of artillery by the American forces. Thank you.